I just want to ask you one question, which came out of your recent encounter with my friend Mark Darcy.
Oh, yeah.
When you revealed that you asked your religious teacher, how can you believe this? But you didn't reveal his response. What did he say?
Okay. So, yeah, it was quite an interesting response, actually. He said, but because I have to just to enrich the story slightly, you know, when I said to him, I think I was about 13 or 14 at a boarding school. I'd asked the chaplain of the school to give me a reading list, and I'd gone through it very, carefully in the school holiday. I got back to school. I went to see him. I said to him, I've read everything you've asked me to read, and I have to ask you, how can you believe it? And because I said, I've heard this story lots of times before, because I was a big aficionado of Greek mythology. And the idea of a god making a mortal maiden pregnant who gives birth to an heroic character who, among other things, goes to the underworld and so on. Well, I mean, Zeus was always making mortal maidens pregnant, giving birth to heroes like Hercules, who did go to the underworld. So what's different about the Christian story? It's exactly the same story. And as we know, indeed, many of the biblical stories come from much, much, much more ancient sources. So I said to him, how can you believe it? And he said, every morning when I wake, I pray, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. And I said to him, so you don't even believe it either. And that was more or less the end of the conversation.
He needs to reiterate constantly, otherwise he falls into the trap of doubt, which believers always think is a sin. It's a I like
you should get Dan Dennett on your show, John, because he's done a very interesting thing, which he and a colleague set up a private sort of website where priests and preachers and parsons, vicars and so on, who were full of doubt, who didn't really believe, but were staying in their jobs because they had nowhere else to go and no option.
Yeah. Well, there's a clergy project, isn't there?
That's the one, the clergy project.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll tell Dan that you said I should get him on the show.
Absolutely, yeah.